This is QTV Nightly News. I'm Mudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. And you can also join us on Q Radio. Here are the headlines. In a significant political development and after rejecting the 2024 draft, the Gambia's National Assembly has for the second time failed to replace the 1997 Constitution. During her two-day state visit to the Gambia, the UN Deputy Secretary General Amina J. Mohammed on Monday visited the Bakoteh Production and Innovation Center with the Tourism Minister and other officials. The Gambia Revenue Authority on Tuesday launched the electronic invoicing project to be implemented by Worldwide Avatar Technologies. The Department of Parks and Wildlife Management and the National Environment Agency on Tuesday launched the Nagoya Protocol project to ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits from the Gambia's genetic resources. In international news, a new UN report says youth could drive food security, economic growth and climate resilience. However, coordinated global action is needed to unlock their potential. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. In a significant political development and for the second time, the Gambia's National Assembly has missed the chance to give the country a successor to the 1997 Constitution. The Assembly rejected the 2024 draft Constitution after it failed to secure the required votes to pass the second reading. Mam Nabuka has the rest of that story.
After hours of intense debate and having voted to carry on debating beyond 6 p.m., this was the moment around 10:39 p.m. when the bill's fate was sealed.
Those in favor, please say aye and raise your tags for counting. And then raise your tags.
The decision came during a session held on Monday, July 7th, where lawmakers offering divergent views debated the proposed draft constitutional bill. After a previous failed attempt to pass a new constitution in 2020, this proposed legislation, which emerged in 2024, sought to repeal the existing 1997 constitution to restore the country's democratic foundations after years of authoritarian governance and recent political changes and reforms. The proposed 2024 bill included several significant reforms, such as establishing presidential term limits, ensuring the separation of powers, and promoting decentralization, among other provisions. However, it also faced controversy due to contentious clauses, which ignited intense debate among lawmakers. While the bill was largely supported and approved by some NAMs, others, including Yaya Menteng Sanyang, the NAM for Latrikunda Sabiji, Omar Jammeh, the NAM for Janjambure, and Lamin Sise of Kiang West, set out why they felt the bill should not be passed.
2020, there is term limit. But 2020 went further to give us the transitional clause to explain to us the current term of the president is included, is counted. This 2024 doesn't have that. So literally it's telling us that President Barrow can say, I am starting my term this year or next year. His pleasure and discretion, we don't allow that.
If you look at the draft, one thing that even baffles me is the sect, that is the youth sect, that we think or believe covers majority part of our population. We cannot even properly define them.
Constitutional building is way beyond the content of the bill. It's about consulting people. And you brought in a draft which was not consulted.
To succeed, the bill required at least 3/4 of the Assembly, which amounts to 44 out of the 58 members. Thus, with only 35 votes in favor and 21 against, the bill naturally failed to go through. Here is Speaker Fabakary Tombong Jatta.
The failure of this bill at this stage does not signify the end of constitutional reform. Rather, it marks a critical moment for reflection, consultation, and renewed engagement with all sectors of Gambian society.
The Speaker urged all parties to remain committed to protecting the Gambia's constitutional order.
I encourage all parties to remain committed to a constructive and inclusive approach to constitutional development. Our responsibility as legislators
is not only to reflect the present will of our constituents, but to safeguard the long-term constitutional order of the Republic of the Gambia.
The next steps taken will be crucial in determining whether a revised draft can be developed that meets the expectations of all or a significant enough majority to make it through the National Assembly. Mam Nabuka, reporting for QTV News.
As part of our official two-day state visit to the Gambia, the Deputy UN Secretary General, Her Excellency Amina J. Mohammed, accompanied by Tourism Minister and sector officials and others on Monday, visited the Bakoteh Production and Innovation Center. Lole M. Camara attended and filed this report.
The visit is to spotlight the Bakoteh Production and Innovation Center's critical role as an implementation site for the EU Youth Empowerment Project, YEP, in tourism and creative industries. The center, which provides technical and vocational training, textile and garment production, as well as in tie and dye, has over 30 industrial machines of various types and a weaving production unit, among other features. Currently, 25 young people, mainly women, and 1 male, being supported under the EU-funded EU Tourism and Creative Industries are enrolled in mainly tailoring and garment production apprenticeship program. Talib Ahmed Bensouda, the mayor of the Kanifi municipality, outlines the role played by his municipality in terms of training the youth to be independent.
So far, KMC, through the partnership of the councillor and other supporters, have trained over 100 youths. And of course, ITC have trained about 175 youths. Our desire and our goal is for these youths to come out and have economic freedom, economic independence. As we know, of course, Gambia has a big demand for clothing, but it's all being imported. KMC now, even our municipal police officers are sewing their uniforms here. As if we have the support of the government in terms of legislature, in terms of import embargoes on clothing, certain aspects of clothing, this would empower centers like these even further.
Mengelo, the Enterprise Development Support Manager at GAIPA, was one of the panelists discussing youth employability and skills development in the Gambia.
In economic development, with access continually becomes a challenge, and we cannot solve it without going back to the grassroots on fundamentally what is the challenge. And one of those things is education. And for me, I believe that affirmative action should not just be at the political level where you're trying to get women in the decision-making table. There's a reason why we don't get there, and if we don't solve that, it's very difficult for the Gambia to move to where it's supposed to be. So education at the grassroots level, making sure that those affirmative actions means that women don't just go to school, they don't just get enrolled, but they stay in school.
Medina Bachili, the center manager, shared a success story.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, we must thank Allah for everything, because the youth that have passed through here are currently self-independent. We have some that have opened their own tailoring shops, helping themselves, and some are working at reputable tailoring shops and are earning well. Amina J. Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, gave these remarks after touring the center.
I am so inspired by what I have seen women and a few boys do inside what you have provided, an opportunity to achieve your aspirations. And aspirations are about your rights as a citizen of Gambia. So thank you to the mayor, thank you to our partners for making this possible, but mostly thank you to the people of Gambia, because you took a bet on coming in here and coming out empowered, and that's really important that you engage.
At the end of the event, it was clear that when government, donors and businesses each take one corner of the triangle, young people fill in the middle with creativity. And with the right support, their creativity will redefine our future. For QTV News, Lole M. Camara.
The Gambia Revenue Authority on Tuesday launched the electronic invoicing project to be implemented by Worldwide Avatar Technologies. As we hear in this report by Ansumana Esonyasi, the project is expected to greatly improve value-added tax compliance and revenue collection.
Over by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, CDKM Keita, this event marks a pivotal moment in the transformative journey of the country's tax administration, particularly in implementing ongoing digitalization reforms. The project, to be implemented by the France-based Worldwide Avatar Technologies company, which specializes in providing cutting-edge electronic revenue assurance solutions to revenue authorities, is expected to greatly improve VAT compliance. GRA Commissioner General Yankuba Dabo and Finance Minister CDK Mketa said the initiative symbolizes the government's strong commitment to institute a modern, transparent and efficient tax administration system. And they went on to highlight how e-invoicing will impact revenue collection, notably in fostering trust between the tax administration and the business community.
The e-invoicing systems we are launching today, when implemented, will give us the following advantages. One, to ensure accurate, variable, verifiable, and real-time invoicing records. Reduce the paperwork and administrative burdens and businesses are currently facing. Limit tax evasion and fraud through a better data integrity.
We believe this launching of an electronic invoicing for VAT and other excisable goods will go a long way towards enhancing the digitalization drive, but more importantly, towards enhancing transparency and minimizing potential revenue leakages, which manual processes are prone to.
Additionally, they also highlighted how ongoing digitalization efforts have led to increased revenue mobilization and transparency and reduced taxpayer burden in preparing tax returns.
This is not just a win for GRA, but it is a win for every Gambian, because every dalasi collected and accounted for transparently is a dalasi that goes towards our schools, our hospitals, our roads, and the future of our nation.
No longer will GRA have to wait now for vendors to come and send their returns. From the electronic invoicing, GRA will have a fair idea as to what the turnover is for their financial reporting.
Nicolas Saint-Remy of Worldwide Avatar Technologies representative says the project will make transactions visible and traceable and will promote efficient data management, thereby ensuring accountability within the VAT administration system, and went on to give assurances that their system is secure and reliable.
It is a tool designed not just to enhance revenue collection, but to foster greater transparency, accountability, and inclusion. Our mission is simple: to help governments unlock the full potential of their economies by making every single transaction visible, verifiable, and valuable.
As they roll out the e-invoicing initiative, which is expected to effectively start operating by the end of the year, authorities implore the business community to embrace this transformative project designed to support and facilitate a hassle-free VAT payment system. Antoine Nyasi for KTV News.
We'll take a short commercial break. When we return, we have local and international stories. Do stay tuned and join us after the break.
At Ajib Bank, we are more than banking. We build bridges that connect you to pivotal services every day. Do you have government bills to pay to the Gambia Revenue Authority, Comfort, KMC, or the Accountant General's Department? We've got you covered. From payment of customs and domestic taxes to GRA, payment of number plate and vehicle ownership transfer to Comfort, payment of property rates and business license fee to KMC, and payment of MR passport, business registration, fishing license, land fees, sale of assets, lease application, development permits, quarrying royalties, gravel and sand, mining royalties, and a host of other revenue lines to the Accountant General's Department. Walk into any of our branches nationwide and make your payments hassle-free, either in person or online. Simple, secure, and immediate. With Ajib Bank, there is no need to worry about government bill payments for your vehicles, taxes, licenses, business registration, and any other revenue line. Ajib Bank, passionate about your investment. We've got you covered. Ajib Bank, your investment partner.
Browse Bitus. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse Bitus promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. The Department of Parks and Wildlife Management and the National Environment Agency on Tuesday launched the implementation phase of the Nagoya Protocol project, a 4-year initiative from 2025 to 2029 to ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits from the use of the Gambia's genetic resources. Yafatu Gay tells us more.
The project is part of the country's commitment to the Nagoya Protocol, an international agreement under the Convention of Biological Diversity. It provides a legal framework to ensure that benefits resulting from the use of genetic resources, such as medical plants, seeds, and traditional knowledge, are fairly shared between users and providers like local communities and countries of origin. The Access and Benefit Sharing Project in the Gambia focuses on strengthening national policies, legal and institutional frameworks to effectively implement the Nagoya Protocol, supporting research and commercialization of genetic resources, particularly in Jambai Forest Park in Birkama, to boost economic opportunities while preserving biodiversity and enhancing collaboration among stakeholders with an emphasis on integrating and protecting traditional knowledge. Mamadou El Gassama, Director of Department of Parks and Wildlife Management, and Abubakar Kujabi, the APS Project Coordinator, further elaborates on the initiative.
APS project is to support providing the technical support for the smooth implementation of the Nagoya Protocol that we have already signed and we are a member or a party, and through developing the APS policy, legal, institutional and regulatory frameworks needed to implement the protocol as expected of the parties.
Biological diversity. When I mean by diversity, it means life in various forms in which we appear. That's important. We need to understand that from the get-go. Please be reminded that CVD was adopted in 1992 at the Rio Convention. That's why we call it the 3 Rio Conventions. That's the Convention on Biological Diversity, Convention on Climate Change, and Convention on Desertification, of which Gambia is a party to all these conventions.
Dauda Baji, the Director of the National Environment Agency, encouraged participants to take ownership of the project to ensure its successful implementation and lasting impact beyond its official time frame.
Your presence is very, very key. Sometimes we leave this project to these technicians. At the end of the day, when the project is finished, you're not going to see any technician around your compound. The thing is left with you people. So if you don't take ownership, of this project, nothing is going to work. So it is your responsibility to ensure that whatever you are doing within your own area, leave a legacy that will be remembered by many people.
Ibrahima Jawara, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Environment, gave the opening remarks.
The Inception Workshop today marks the beginning of a milestone that demonstrates that the Gambia has not only ratified the Nagoya Protocol, but that it is willing and ready to comply with the principles of the protocol.
The 4-year project is expected to deliver both environment and economic benefits, while also serving as a model for inclusive and participatory biodiversity governance in the region. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafati Gay.
After being summoned to testify at the High Court in the case of alleged paramilitary shooter Usainu Bojang, Omar S. Jallo, an officer and firearms instructor in the Gambia Armed Forces 1st Infantry Battalion, on Monday described the defendant, Bojang, as an expert marksman. This story by Nicholas Bass of The Voice newspaper is narrated by Ansumane Sonyasi.
The first accused, Usainu Bojang, is accused of fatally shooting 2 police officers and injuring a third on September 12, 2023 at the Sukuta Jabang traffic light, testifying before Justice Ibrahima Jaite at the Banjul High Court as the 9th defense witness, having been subpoenaed by the defense. Jallow said the shock of the incident prevented him from recognizing the shooter at the crime scene. The Gambia Armed Forces firearms instructor Jallow explained that on 12 September 2023, he traveled with the first and second prosecution witnesses, Ismaila Bojang and Bakari R. Jaju, after they were all given a lift from Palmarima Junction to the Sukuta traffic light. Jallow said that when they arrived at the Sukuta traffic light, they were hungry, so he went to a nearby meat seller and bought Afra meat. The GAF instructor said that after crossing the Sukuta traffic light just opposite the roundabout beside the restaurant, he had a gunshot, which, according to him, was from a pistol and which struck the first policeman. Jallow noted that the alleged gunman fired a second shot, killing the second policeman, before shooting and injuring the third. Jallow also said in his testimony that immediately after the shooting, instinctively he gave chase but stopped as he was not armed. The GAF officer told the court that on returning to the scene, Ismaila Bojang and Bakari Jaju each later recovered empty bullet casings, adding that the casings were from a pistol. When asked by the defense counsel Adama Silla, representing the second accused Ami Bojang, whether he saw the gun allegedly used by the shooter, Jallow said he did not. Jallow said that as a GAF instructor, upon hearing the gunshots, he was certain that they came from a pistol and not an AK-47 rifle. When questioned by defense counsel Lamin J. Dabo, representing the first accused Usainu Bojang, about the timing of his call to colleagues during the incident, Jallow denied being an accomplice to the PIU shooter. Jallow's uncertainty about which GSM network he used to make the call led defense counsel Lamin J. Dabo to call Abubakar Jaju, a data analyst with one of the GSM companies, to present Jallow's call logs from 12 September 2023 before the court. Counsel Dabo requested that the call logs of Jallow, prosecution witness 9, be admitted as evidence, which they were, despite an objection by the Director of Public Prosecutions, A.M. Yusuf, which was overruled. Counsel Dabo then challenged Jallow, suggesting that he was never at Palmarima Beach on 12 September 2023. In response to defense counsel Dabo's question about whether he traveled after the PIU shooting incident, Jallow confirmed that he did, noting that he traveled to Turkey on either 24th or 25th September 2023. Meanwhile, during cross-examination by defense counsel Silla, Omar S. Jallow disclosed that he had given a statement to the Joint Investigation Unit. Thereafter, defense counsel Silla requested for the court to admit Jallow's statement to the Joint Investigation Unit as an exhibit was granted. The case was then adjourned until the court resumes from recess on October 6, 2025. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
From that report by Answane Sonyasi, coming up next is international news. A new UN report says young people worldwide could be key drivers of food security, economic growth and climate resilience. But coordinated global action is needed to realize their potential. Aisha Rupari has more.
The report, which is titled The Status of Youth in Agri-Food Systems, examines technical and policy initiatives designed to create decent job opportunities, enhance food security and nutrition, and enhance the resilience of young people to shocks. It highlights youth as key change agents in the agricultural sector, positioning them as the next generation of producers, processors, service providers, and consumers. Here is Lauren Phillips, the Deputy Director of the FAO's Rural Transformation and Gender Equality Division, on the role of youth in agriculture.
Agriculture could be a source of jobs for many of those young people, but we need to help them overcome barriers like access to land. Young people are inheriting smaller and smaller plots in areas with youth abundance or are inheriting later due to the lack of pension systems for older farmers. The report estimates that if we could address the gap in employment for people from age 20 to 24, we could increase the global economy by 1.4%, and that we could have a benefit of about $1.5 trillion US.
Globally, 44% of working youth rely on agri-food systems for employment compared to 38% for working adults. However, that global average covers a large span ranging from 82% in protracted crisis agri-food systems to just 23% in industrial agri-food systems. Alarmingly, food insecurity among youth has risen from 16.7% to 24.4% between 2014 to 2016 and 2021 to 2023, especially affecting young people in Africa. Again, we hear from the FAO's Lauren Phillips.
Food insecurity is higher for young people than it is for adults, and it's currently at 24.4%, higher than it was before the pandemic. They also face increasing shocks from extreme weather events, from conflict, and from economic crises. But because youth are the next generation of producers, consumers, processors of food, service providers, it's really important to understand how they can benefit from and contribute to agri-food systems.
In the Gambia, over 60% of the population is under the age of 25.
Now, before we end this news bulletin, here's a recap of our main news headlines. In a significant political development and after rejecting the 2024 draft, the Gambia's National Assembly has for the second time failed to replace the 1997 constitution. During her two-day state visit to the Gambia, UN Deputy Secretary General Amina J. Mohammed on Monday visited the Bakoteh Production and Innovation Center with the Tourism Minister and other officials. The Gambia Revenue Authority on Tuesday launched the electronic invoicing project to be implemented by Worldwide Avatar Technologies. The Department of Parks and Wildlife Management and the National Environment Agency on Tuesday launched the Nagoya Protocol project to ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits from the Gambia's genetic resources. In international news, a new UN report says youth could drive food security, economic growth and climate resilience, but coordinated global action is needed to unlock their potential. That's all we have time for in this news bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Join us again at 10 for another bulletin.